Alright, silly people, here's the situation. We're going to be taking a particle and we're going to Lorentz boost it through a frame moving at speed v1. And then we're going to Lorentz boost it again in another frame uh, moving with speed v2. Both cases, just the boosting in one direction. So I've written out the general form for a Lorentz boost in one dimension. It's this. Um, your new velocity in the primed frame will be the particle's own velocity minus v1 over 1 minus v1 over c squared. And I just kind of Lorentz boosted again, replacing uh, v prime with v2 primes, and then replace v with v prime and v1 with v2, and you get this second boost. So if you combine these equations, you get v prime up here, so it's v minus v1 over 1 minus v1 over c squared. And then you get a minus v2, so minus v2 there. And this is all over a 1, 1 minus v prime over c squared, that is. So I'll write v2 over c squared, actually. And then write all of v prime again. So that's v minus v1 over 1 minus v1 over c squared. Obviously, there's a way to simplify this. So let's do that. We're going to multiply everything top and bottom by this 1 minus v1 over c squared thing, which means up top we'll just have v minus v1 minus v2 times this stuff, which is 1 minus v1 over c squared. And then on the bottom we'll have 1 times this junk, so it's 1 minus v1 over c squared. And then v2 over c squared just times v minus v1. We've already made a lot of progress in simplifying this. Now I'm interested in expanding any place where it is worth. So now I'm looking at v minus v1 minus v2 plus v1 v2 over c squared. And then saying 1 minus v1 over c squared minus v2 over c squared times v plus v1 v2 over c squared. Now I'm interested in regrouping everything. And the way I'm going to group things is I want to just try and get everything that depends on v separate from things that don't depend on v. So I've got v here, and on top I have 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared. And you get the minus v1 minus v2 stuff. On the bottom, you get the 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared stuff, minus v times, what is it? You get v over c squared times v1 plus v2. Yes. And then you divide everything top and bottom now by this thing, the 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared. So on top you'll just have v, and then you'll have a minus sign, and then you'll have a v1 plus v2 up here over, let me do this line correctly. Come on. Okay, there it is. 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared there. On the bottom, we'll get a 1 and a minus v over c squared times this thing, which is v1 plus v2 over 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared. I realize I made it more complicated by doing that, but now we can define it all by this parameter, which I'm going to call chi v1 plus v2 over 1 plus v1 v2 over c squared. And notice that this double boosted thing is just v minus chi 1 minus v over c squared chi, which is an equivalent sort of equation if you just Lorentz boosted through one frame in one dimension, and that frame happens to be moving at this speed, which was, yeah, that was the proof. So yeah, good job.